Hello and welcome back. It has been some time since my last ultralight rod video, but here we are yet again. My friends, this is the KASTKING Kestrel, and before I get to the rod, I have to say, huge shout out to Tony. Tony sent me this rod, reel, and line, so I really appreciate it. I don't know if I would have ever reviewed this had it not been for Tony, so again, this video goes out to Tony, thank you. The KASTKING Kestrel, this is the 5'2" version. They offer it in numerous lengths, but I really like this. I've been wanting to do another short ultralight rod for a while. I haven't done a shorter rod in a long time, so that is why I picked up the 5'2". I've got the size 1000 matching reel. This is a KASTKING Kestrel as well, and then some 6-pound KASTKING braid on there. Today's video is going to be primarily focused on the rod. I will talk a little bit about the reel and the line and kind of my, what I feel about them, but for the most part, let's focus on the rod. You know the drill. I'm going to fish with it. I'm going to talk about the specs. I'm going to talk about how it feels, and then by the end of this video, hopefully you will know if it is a good option for you. With that being said, let's start catching some fish. As always, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the specs. The first thing that I am going to note is this is rated for 1/64 through 1/10 ounce lures. This is an ultralight rod, my friends. The line is rated 1 to 3 pound test. This is an ultralight rod. I love the ratings on this rod. Like I said, this is the 5'2" version. I believe this is a fast action, and if they don't call it a fast action, they definitely should. It definitely is a fast action. I'm gonna be throwing a little double jig rig. These are both 1/64 ounce mule jigs with a Mule Minnow 1.2. And then, like I said, I've got 6-pound braid on there. I think a 4-pound leader. We're just gonna be doing some ultralight fishing for whatever bites. Don't really care what I catch, I just wanna catch some fish. I have a feeling the fishing's gonna be pretty good. I'm here on this small lake. I'm in the canoe. This lake is always pretty good for quantity, not necessarily quality. Sometimes some big jumbo perch, but other than that, it's usually smaller bass, some mid-sized bluegill. You never really know though. There's a fish right there. Took me 2 casts, and that's a perch. Little dinky perch. He went for the top jig. All right, good deal. Well, hopefully you got a little bit of a feel for how that rod bends. Man, he is a shaky boy. Come on, stop. Gotcha. I don't want to get hooked. There's 2 hooks flying around. All right, chill. Why is he so feisty? We've gotten rain this morning and then rain for the last couple days, so the water's a little bit dingy, but I think that's going to be good. Springtime fishing, and of course, that is a male perch that totally just got me. That's great. Think I know what the perch are doing right now? That's wonderful. It would not be a springtime fishing video on my channel if I didn't get got by a perch. Now, this is a shorter rod, so I wouldn't expect it to cast quite as far as a longer model, but really, as I've talked about in the past, line is a big part of the castability. There's another fish. Is this a little bass probably? Yeah, it's a little dinky bass. And there you go. About the same size as that perch. This one went for the bottom jig. All right, the castability on an ultralight setup is largely due to the line. I gotta say, this 6-pound braid from KASTKING feels pretty darn good. I have had one line twist issue with it in the past, but I think that's because I kind of overspooled the reel, so I can't blame the line necessarily. This line definitely feels really quality. It does not have any memory at all, which is nice. I've used it enough times now to where I feel like I'm pretty confident that I can talk a little bit about this line. To me, I feel like it's important to spend some time with a line before you make an opinion, because sometimes they don't age as good as others. But this one, I would say, after fishing it with several times, it feels like a really quality braided fishing line. That's a fish. Oh my gosh. It's got to be a dink. That was a weird little bite. I just barely hooked him. I got him good, but I just barely set the hook. And it's another dinky perch. All right. There you go. There you go, buddy. That was a nice little bite. I felt that rattle down the line right into the rod tip. Just thumped it. Another dinky little perch. There you go. This little double jig rig is just so effective for these little guys. I love using these. Oh gosh, he got me good. I love using these double jig rigs with like really tiny baits. This 1/64 ounce jig it sinks really slow. So you can fish them vertical, you can fish them horizontal, and then that little 1.2 Mule Minnow is really light. It's a high buoyancy plastic as well. So really this thing is a very slow falling, slow moving presentation, and it's just so deadly for little panfish in the spring or summer. When they're up in the shallows, it's just a great way to kind of cover water, give yourself 2 presentations at once. technically speaking, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if we caught 2 fish on 1 cast today. Now I should note this is actually a 2-piece rod, and I have no problems with 2-piece rods. A lot of times people ask me if they should get a 1 or 2-piece rod. I would say it doesn't really matter, it's up to you. I generally prefer a 1-piece rod solely because it's just one less thing to manage. That being said, on this rod, I have not noticed any issues. The big thing is on lower quality rods, sometimes they'll get a little bit cattywampus and all of a sudden you got a twisted rod. Other times your rod tip will actually fall off. That hasn't been an issue so far with this rod right here, and it doesn't feel like it will be an issue because it does feel like it's on there very secure. As I was talking about with the casting distance, I do attribute a lot of it to the line, but I will say that this rod blank is definitely suited to handle true ultralight lures. Like I said, these are 2 1/64th ounce jigs, which would put them right around 1/32. The plastic is next to nothing in weight. It's super, super small, super, super light. So this is casting it with 0 issues. I just totally got rocked. And quite honestly, I think it's just delivering the value proposition. It is rated for the proper sizes, 1/64 through 1/10. You're probably never gonna get a ton of distance on a 1/64th. I mean, it's a 5'2" rod. However, the rod blank is designed to pair with it. So that is obviously really important when it comes to casting distance. There's a lot of rods out there that really start their ratings around 1/32 or even 1/16. You do not see 1/64th very often. So to see that is obviously wonderful because I love throwing really, really small stuff. As noted, this is the KASTKING Kestrel reel on it. This is a size 1000, and I should note that this thing balances really, really good. 5'2" rod, size 1000 reel. It should absolutely balance really well. So it doesn't surprise me, but I definitely wanted to note that. I can't speak to their longer rod lengths. I'm not sure. I'm willing to bet that they balance pretty good as well, just because the feeling of this rod, the way that the blank feels, I just have a feeling that they're gonna be able to maintain a good balance on those longer lengths, but I can't say that with certainty. So I would just say kind of be aware of that. If you have the ability to pick one up and kind of feel it, you should be able to get a feel for whether or not it'll balance. But, you know, if you were to go with a longer rod, you might go with like a size 2000 reel, and that may help offset the balance as well. The thing to note about this reel is, unlike a lot of reels out there, this is actually offered in a shallow spool model, which is huge. So I do like the fact that this is offered in a shallow spool model. They call this their spin finesse system. I don't think that that's necessary. You know, that's just their terminology, but ultimately what they mean is this is meant to be a true ultralight, I think is the point. You know, the shallow spool reel, the light ratings, this is meant to be their true ultralight system. And I would say that they're delivering on that value proposition. Oh man, a little bit better fish. What is this? Is this a pike or is this a bass? What is this? Oh, it's 2 perch. I told you I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And lo and behold, I set the hook and they were both on there immediately. How about that? That's nice. I think this is only the second time I've had that happen. I gotta get a quick picture because that's honestly wonderful. 2 fish, 1 cast, love it. Well, that gave you a little bit better understanding of how this rod flexes under a little bit more pressure, just given the fact that it's double the weight of any of the other fish. I do want to talk a little bit about how this rod flexes. As you can see right there, this is a true fast action. You know, it's a 5'2" rod right there, and you can see it bends mostly towards the tip. I think I could pretty much fish with anything on this rod and get away with it. That being said, you know, I fish with a jig 90% of the time, and that's what I want my rod to, you know, shine at. So that rod, this rod right here definitely feels like a good little jig rod, and it's proving to be doing the job, my friends. Oh boy. Oh boy. Ah, gah. Poked my finger with that little dorsal fin there. We're gonna keep this video very fast paced, and we are gonna have a lot of hook sets and a lot of fish fights in it, and I hope you're all okay with that. I personally have no issues with it because I want to catch as many fish as I can, and that, my friends, felt like a biggin, but he popped free. I don't know what that was. That was probably a bass, could have been a fat perch, who knows. I might need to loosen my drag just a hair. Felt like, now I think I got it a little too loose. There we go. That fish immediately hit it. I don't think that'd be the same fish, but it might be. I wonder if this is a, what is this? It might be a bluegill. I don't know. Feels like a bluegill. Yeah, nice big bluegill actually. Nice quality one. I could tell it was doing circles. Anytime they're doing those circles like that, a lot of times it's bluegill because they have that, you know, that larger body, that taller body. And so they do those circles because their body naturally fights better that way. That fish is really pale. But there you have it. That's the third species, and not a bad one. Nice little male bluegill. See you, buddy. Like I said, this place has no shortage of fish, so it's not surprising that I've already caught so many. The question is, what are we gonna get into today? Hopefully by now you're already seeing kind of how this rod performs under pressure, but the idea would be to hook something just a little bit bigger if it works out. All in all though, I think I've made it quite obvious that I do like this rod. I should note, this is a $90 rod, so it's not necessarily cheap, but it's certainly not as expensive as it could be. And so I would say really like that mid-range price point, less than $100. I don't know, man. I always thought that I didn't like KASTKING. I always thought that it was a brand that I didn't really want to mess around with. And I don't know why I felt that way. I just did. And I'm just being completely honest. I think it's important to be transparent in these things, to talk about maybe what biases I had in my mind. But coming out of that, I should note that this thing feels very quality. It feels like an awesome little ultralight stick. And for 90 bucks, I definitely feel like it is a value. I'm gonna get back to fishing. We'll see how it continues to perform. Hopefully it doesn't like explode in my hands or something like that, because as long as it continues to do what it's doing, I'm a very happy customer. I'm gonna call my shots. I'm gonna catch another bluegill on this cast. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't know what this is. Man, my drag's not going at all. It's gotta be a bass. I will say, that's the one thing with this reel, is I just can't quite get a feel for the drag. I don't think it's quite as smooth as some of the other reels I have. I'm not gonna say it's bad, I'm just saying that I haven't quite got used to it yet. Like, it's not peel and drag at all, and I've been trying to loosen it up. Oh, that's a bruiser of a gill. That's a bruiser. Look at that big male gill, holy smokes. That's the kind of bluegill we want in our lives. Holy smokes, look at that fish. That is an absolute gorgeous bluegill. When they're big enough to where you can kind of stick your thumb in their mouth, that tells you they're a quality fish. It's a beauty of a gill right there. See you, buddy. And you can see how he put up a nice fight on this rod. And that is what I'm talking about right there, a true ultralight. You know, a big bluegill like that should be able to put up a good fight on a rod like this, and he absolutely did. That was a blast. I was twitching that back in, I saw that bass dart after it, and I just stopped it, and he just annihilated this one. Little micro. That fish hit it right on the bank. I don't know why the drag decided to go a little bit there, but it's not a very big fish. So another little dinky bass. Chill out, buddy. Did some acrobatics for us though. Here, buddy. See you later. Well, spring has sprung. The water temperature is on the rise. The rain has been falling, and the fish are hungry. Anytime you can fish right after a warm spring rain, you're generally gonna catch some fish, my friends. It is a good time to go catch fish. So if you can fish after a warm spring rain, no matter what the species, it is a great time of year. What is this? What is this? Is a perch or a bass? It is neither, it's a bluegill. Man, the bluegill getting a little bit bigger in here. There was a lot of smaller fish in years past. Looks like they're just getting a little bit healthier in here. The bluegill are looking good, man, looking promising. Okay, so according to the warranty policy online, how I'm interpreting this is if your rod breaks or is damaged from just like defective materials or improper workmanship, then you basically pay $20 for shipping and you'll get a new rod. However, if it's broken by accident or something like that, you have to pay the $20 plus half the price of the rod. So in this case, you know, you would just get one for a small discount if I was to break this on, by my own fault. Like if I was to snap this over the side of my canoe, that would be my fault. I think I would basically pay about $65 and get a new one. However, if it just snapped in half for no reason whatsoever, that could probably be, a manufacturing issue. And in that case, it would just cost me $20 to get a new one. All in all, for a $90 rod, I feel like that's pretty much in line with expectations. So no complaints there. The one thing that I didn't really talk about is the aesthetics of this rod. You can see that the handle is very slick looking. It's got kind of this like hard material here. I'm not sure what that is, but it's like a harder butt material. Then you've got like this foam. Interestingly, it's kind of at a slant right here. It looks really cool. It's like kind of a jagged edge. I like the reel seat. Nice little reel seat here. all in all, I feel like it's a pretty aesthetically pleasing rod. It's comfortable, it balances well. This piece right here is also that same kind of like hard plastic. I'm not gonna tell you that it's like really high cost or like fancy by any means, but it looks nice. And for 90 bucks, they obviously, you know, they did the best they could for the price that they're offering this rod at. So all in all, nice little stick. I just saw a little fish eat off the surface. Here comes a guaranteed fish. Watch this. Fish is gonna bite in 2 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. There he is. I called it. Something came up and ate something off the surface. I figure it's either a bass or a little bluegill. Looks like it's a bass. Must have saw a little bug or something. I knew he was gonna be catchable. Yes, sir. Calling my shots. At this point, it's pretty easy to call your shots when you're catching fish every other cast. He choked that thing though. You know, the sad part is that's probably my biggest bass so far today. See you, buddy. I did not expect any big bass today. I never expect big bass at this place. I just expect a lot of fish. This is just getting crazy. This is getting crazy, folks. There you go. Dink City. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Golly, does this fish think he's big? You're not big, but you thought you were. Holy smokes, he took off. All right, little buddy. Feisty little boy, aren't you? Nurse helped us buckle the seat in the car, and they sent us on our way. And I drove home so slow. Rid-it-do-do-do-do. Another nice gill. Another nice one. Yes, sir. Choked it. Look at that fat gill right there. Big fat belly. They are feeding up. When I forget my pliers, I just grab a key and just push the hook out. And that usually works. Don't ask me why my car keys smell like fish. That little technique right there. Just don't lose your car keys in the water, my friends. That would be bad news. Nice gill right there. Chunky. See you, bud. This 5'2" model, as I think about it, I really think that this rod would be a lot of fun for, you know, little creek adventures and stuff like that. Places where you don't necessarily have as much space for a longer rod model. You know, this rod right here, man, that's actually a nice feeling fish. Oh man, whew, whew. Jumbo-licious perch, holy smokes. One of the better ones I've caught here in a while. Anyways, what I was saying is these little shorter rods are a lot of fun when you have a little bit less space. Man, that's a dandy. I gotta get a photo of that with the rod. See you, buddy. Oh man, that fish wanted to go home. Anyways, I can't help but think about like a little creek mission or a little pond where there's a lot of like overhanging trees and stuff like that. Having this little bit more portable rod is just a good way to be able to sneak in and out of tough to reach places and catch fish. Oh man, got pulverized. Keep pressure, nothing big. That was a nice little bite. Another nice gill though. Oh, baby. That's a big pale gill right there. I'm telling you, I think the bluegill are getting bigger in this lake. I think the quality is getting better and better, my friends. They're not all that long, but they're built. Look at that. In the rain, nice gill. See ya, bud. Okay, so I'm currently getting rained on, and I think this is a good place to stop. Now, I was not out here for very long, but I caught a pile of fish, so hopefully you got a feel for how this rod flexes. This KASTKING Kestrel is $90, has a little bit of a warranty policy on it, and all in all, I think the value is definitely there. Like I said, this is a 5'2" model. I would definitely use this for like some close quarters jig fishing. I'm sure that their other lengths are wonderful as well, but I think for this price point, I think there's a really good value, and I would definitely recommend this rod. I think it's a versatile stick. I think primarily I would probably fish, you know, jigs with it, just like I would any fast action ultralight. But I'm feeling really happy about this thing, and I'm definitely gonna be fishing with it more in the future. So thank you again to Tony for sending me this setup. The reel feels pretty good. Still have to figure out the drag a little bit, but I think that's just getting used to their, you know, this reel versus a different brand. And then the 6-pound braid is wonderful. This braid is really, really solid. So I will link all this stuff in the description below. You can go take a look for yourself. But another thing to note, I actually have several more ultralight rods at my house, so stay tuned. I'm gonna have more ultralight rod videos in the future as always. And yeah, a great day on the water. I hope you have a great day. We'll catch you next time.